Hello, hello, hello. Believe we are live. We are go live. Hello, everyone. Angeline Moore here, your girl, coming to you live. I am in Texas, y'all, visiting family. I don't know. I think I'm going to take this overlay off. Okay, I think that's better now. Oops. Okay. All right, I think y'all can see me better now. Hi. I am coming to you live from Texas. I'm on vacation. I'm on a vacation with my father-in-law. We've had some bumps and challenges along the way, but we are still making the most of it. I am here with my two youngest, my two littles, Blake and Jeremiah. Blake is 9. Jeremiah is 23 months as of Sunday. He'll be 2 next month, the 28th of July. It's crazy. But I just want to welcome you back to day 6 of the Pray Up, Patch Up, Prosper Live series. So first of all, I just want to thank you for showing up. Thank you for leaning in, and thank you for choosing to become a student of the incredible body God created, because that's really what this journey has been about. Not chasing the newest trend, not looking for a magic solution, but really learning to become better stewards of one of God's greatest gifts, which are our bodies. So tonight, we are talking about something that affects every single person watching this, whether you realize it or not. Inflammation. Now, before you hear that word and think, oh, this is going to be another science lesson, I want you to stay with me, okay? Because tonight isn't really about inflammation. It's about something much deeper. It's about losing pieces of yourself so slowly that you don't even realize they're gone. So can I ask you something? Have you ever looked at an old picture of yourself, right? Younger version of yourself, and thought, I remember that version of me. Maybe it wasn't because you looked younger. Maybe it was because you remembered how you felt. You had more energy. You recovered faster. You didn't wake up already tired. You could stay up late and somehow bounce back the next day. You didn't have to think about every movement before getting out of bed. You just lived. Then somewhere along the way, something changed. And it wasn't overnight. So gradually that you almost couldn't see it happening, okay? Maybe your mornings became harder. Maybe your afternoons required another cup of coffee or another energy drink, right? Maybe your body started talking to you in little whispers. A stiff shoulder, an aching back, poor sleep, brain fog, low motivation, feeling emotionally drained, taking longer to recover. And you told yourself, I'm just getting older. Or how about, it's probably stress. This is just what happens. And maybe some of that is true, right? But here's the question that changed everything for me. What if those weren't just random inconveniences? What if they were messages? What if your body wasn't betraying you? What if it was trying to get your attention? And that thought stopped me because I realized something. The body has been communicating with me my entire life. I just didn't know how to listen. Over the last 5 nights, we've talked about God's incredible design, we've talked about light, about communication, about peptides, that trendy word, right? About stem cells, about the body's ability to adapt and respond. And one thing keeps showing up. The body is always working for us, not against us. So tonight, we have to ask a different question. If the body was designed so intelligently, what gets in the way? Why do some people feel exhausted Why does it seem like our energy disappears faster than it used to? Why do we wake up tired after sleeping? Why do sometimes we feel like we're carrying a weight we can't explain? Why does our body seem slower to recover than it once did? Those are important questions. And while there isn't one simple answer, there is one word that shows up again and again and again in wellness research: inflammation. Now, I want to be careful because inflammation itself is not the enemy. Okay. In fact, if you've been with me from day one, you already know where I'm going with this. God designed inflammation for a purpose. Just like pain has a purpose, just like fever has a purpose, just like your immune system has a purpose. Inflammation is part of the body's normal response to injury, infection, and healing. It's one of the ways your body protects you. So think about what happens when you get a splinter, right? The area may become red, warm, tender, maybe even swollen. That's not your body failing. That's your body responding. Okay. It's saying, I see something that needs my attention. How amazing is that, right? Your body notices before you fully understand what is actually happening. That's intelligent design. The challenge isn't about inflammation that the challenge isn't that inflammation exists, right? The challenge is what happens when the body never gets the chance to fully settle down, when stress becomes constant, when sleep becomes inconsistent, when processed food replaces nourishment, when emotional wounds never have time to heal, when we keep pushing instead of pausing. Eventually, the body's alarm system stays switched on longer than it was ever designed to, and that is where um, the story begins for our next slide. Because before we can really understand how to support the body, we first have to understand what constant overload is doing to it, right? And I have a feeling many of us carry more than we actually realize. So let's talk about inflammation. But before I explain it scientifically, I want you to picture something, okay? Imagine it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Your family is asleep. The house is quiet. Suddenly, the smoke detector goes off, and immediately everyone wakes up. Your heart starts racing. You jump out of bed. You start looking for the source. Why? Because alarms are designed to get your attention. Now imagine you walk into the kitchen and you realize you simply burned a piece of toast. There's no house fire. The smoke detector the smoke detector did exactly what it was designed to do. It warned you. It protected you. It alerted you. Would you be angry at the smoke detector? Well, sometimes you can be like, be quiet. But of course not, right? It actually did its job though. It let you know there was something going on. So let me ask you something. What happens if that smoke detector never turns off? You kind of get annoyed, but let's think about that, right? Day after day, week after week, month after month. Eventually, you stop sleeping well. You become exhausted. You become anxious. You can't relax because the alarm is always going. Not because the alarm is bad, but because it was never designed to stay on forever, right? It was only designed when it is actually supposed to work and warn you about something. And honestly, that's one of the simplest ways I've learned to think about inflammation. Inflammation isn't the enemy. Inflammation is one of God's built in protection systems, and it's part of the body's normal response to injury, infection, or irritation. It helps coordinate healing, it helps alert your immune system, and it helps protect us. That is intelligent design. The problem begins when the alarm never gets the opportunity to quiet down. And that's where researchers often distinguish between acute inflammation, which is a normal short term response, and chronic inflammation, which refers to like long lasting inflammatory activity that has been associated with many, many health conditions. Again, I am speaking generally. So, disclaimer, I'm not diagnosing anyone. I'm simply helping us understand how beautifully and how carefully the body was designed to work. So, now think about modern life. How many alarms are going off every day? Stress, poor sleep, ultra processed foods, environmental exposures, lack of movement, too much sitting, too much scrolling, too much sunlight, too little rest. Or not too much sunlight, but too little sunlight and too little rest. Emotional wounds that never had time to heal, financial pressure, relationship tension, constant bad news. The body doesn't separate those experiences into little boxes, okay? It responds to the whole picture. Everything communicates. We've talked about that. Remember what we talked about all week? Light is information, sleep is information, nutrition is information, movement is information, stress is information, peace is information. The body is constantly asking one question: am I safe? If the answer keeps feeling like no, the body continues responding. And here's what broke my heart when I first understood this. So many people are living with constant signals of stress, and they've forgotten what calm feels like. Maybe that's you. Maybe you can't remember the last time you woke up refreshed. Maybe you can't remember the last time your mind felt clear. And maybe you can't remember the last time your body didn't ache somewhere. Maybe you've gotten so used to carrying the weight that you've mistaken survival for normal. Can I lovingly tell you something tonight? Come on. Does not always mean common, does not always mean normal, okay? Just because something has become common in our culture doesn't necessarily mean it's how God designed us to live. We were created for rhythms, work and Sabbath, activity and rest, giving and receiving. Even creation itself reflects this rhythm: day and night, the changing seasons, seed time and harvest, the tides. Everything God created moves in healthy cycles. Yet many of us live as though we're supposed to produce constantly without ever restoring. And eventually, our bodies begin whispering. At first, it's subtle: a little more fatigue, a little more stiffness, a little more brain fog, a little more irritability, a little less energy, a little less resilience. But if we ignore those whispers long enough, they become louder. Not because the body is trying to punish us, because the body is trying to protect us. And that realization right there changed everything for me. Instead of getting frustrated with my body, I started becoming curious. What is my body trying to tell me? Where have I been living out of balance? What rhythms have I neglected? And what kind of environment am I creating for the incredible body God entrusted to me? Because here's something I came to believe: the body is always communicating. And the question isn't, is my body speaking? The question is, have I slowed down enough to listen? And that question is what eventually led me deeper into understanding recovery, not just physical recovery, mental recovery, emotional recovery, spiritual recovery. Because healing isn't just about removing what's harmful. Sometimes it's about restoring what has been missing. On the next slide, or rather in the next part of tonight's conversation, that's exactly where we're going, okay? Because once I understood what chronic stress and inflammation were doing, I started asking an entirely different question. Not how do I silence the alarm, but how do I create an environment where the alarm no longer needs to keep sounding? That changed everything, okay? So after learning everything we've talked about tonight, I found myself asking a completely different question, right? Not how do I stop inflammation, but what is my body asking for? And that question changed everything, because for years, I looked at my body like it was working against me, right? If I was tired, I got frustrated. If something hurt, I got discouraged. If I felt exhausted, I blamed myself. I thought, I just need to push harder. I just need more willpower. I just need another cup of coffee. I just need to grab another energy drink. I just need to take better supplements. And maybe you've been there too. But then something shifted. I stopped seeing my body as the problem and I started seeing my body as a messenger. So think about that. What is fatigue? What if fatigue is communication? What if brain fog is communication? What if poor recovery is communication? What if feeling overwhelmed is communication? Not always, because there are many reasons people experience these things. But what if sometimes our bodies are simply asking for support? That perspective completely changed my wellness journey. And because I stopped looking for ways to overpower my body and I started looking for ways to partner with it, that was a huge mindset shift. And honestly, that's what first caught my attention about phototherapy. Not because someone promised me miracles and not because I believed every headline I read, but because the philosophy made sense. Support the body. Don't fight it. Work with it, not against it. And as I continued to learn and as I continued learning, I discovered that what LifeWave describes as technology as wearable phototherapy in simple terms, the patches are designed to interact with your body's own infrared heat, reflecting this particular wavelengths of light back toward the skin. Nothing is injected. Nothing enters your bloodstream. Nothing is absorbed through your skin. And that really surprised me because a lot of the stuff is like, let me just take more of this. And then I would look at the ingredients, but because this technology is just so different, it really challenged everything I thought about wellness and what wellness had to look like. I always assumed that if something was wrong and what if something was going to make a difference, it had to be something you swallowed or rubbed in or injected, right? But this introduced to me an entirely different conversation, the conversation of information. Remember, everything we've been talking about throughout this entire series, the body is always responding to information. Light, movement, sleep, nutrition, stress, peace, everything communicates, okay? And LifeWave teaches that its phototherapy technology is intended to support the body's own natural processes by reflecting specific wavelengths of your own body heat back toward the skin. That's what intrigued me. Not because, again, I expected a magic solution, but because it fit the pattern I've been discovering all week. The body is intelligent. The body communicates. The body responds. And according to LifeWave's educational materials, the X39 patch is designed to support healthy levels of naturally occurring peptide called GHKCU, which is a copper peptide, in which the company says plays a role in supporting the body's own stem cell activation processes. So notice something. Even here, the conversation isn't the patch heals you. The conversation is, how do we support what the body has already designed to do? So that's a completely different way of thinking. And honestly, that's why I stayed. Not because someone made these extravagant promises to me, but because the deeper I studied God's design, the more this philosophy resonated with me. Support, stewardship, partnership. Those words kept coming back. Now, let me be very clear. Another disclaimer, right? I'm not standing here saying this is the answer to every health challenge, okay? I'm not making medical claims. I'm not diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing disease. Every person's journey is different. Every body is different. And wellness is never just one thing. It's the choices we make every single day. The food we eat, the quality of our sleep, our movement, our stress, our relationships, our prayer life, our thoughts, our environment, everything matters. For me, the X39 patch became one part of a much bigger lifestyle. A reminder to slow down, to steward my body, to pay attention, to become curious instead of critical, to ask better questions. Instead of waking up every day asking, what is wrong with me? I started asking, what is my body trying to tell me today? And can I tell you something? That question brought freedom because my body stopped feeling like an enemy. It started feeling like a teammate that had been faithfully working for me every single day. Even on the days I didn't appreciate it, even on the days I was too busy to listen, even on the days I spoke negatively about myself, my body kept showing up. What an incredible gift, right? And that's why I believe inflammation isn't just a wellness conversation. It's an invitation to slow down, to pay attention, to create an environment where the body can do what God's designed it to do. Not perfectly, but faithfully. Not fearfully, but wisely. And honestly, I think that's one of the greatest acts of stewardship we can offer the Creator, to care well for the masterpiece He entrusted us. So, as we get ready to close tonight, I know I've been talking a lot, but I want you to do something with me, okay? I want you to take a slow, deep breath. Seriously, right where you are. Breathe in and breathe out. Is it amazing that even something as simple as breathing can change how we feel? Sometimes the body doesn't need to push harder. Sometimes it simply needs permission to pause. And maybe that's what tonight is really been about, right? Not inflammation, not science, not even wellness, okay? Maybe tonight has been about giving ourselves permission to stop fighting the very body that's been fighting for us. Because here's what I hope you remember after tonight. Your body is not your enemy. Your body has been doing everything it knows how to do to protect you. Every heartbeat, every breath, every signal, every response, even inflammation, when it's functioning the way God designed it, is evidence that your body is paying attention. It's responding, it's protecting. What an incredible gift. Maybe the greatest shift we can make isn't asking, how do I silence my body? Maybe it's asking, what is my body trying to tell me? That one question changed my life, y'all. It changed the way I approached wellness. It changed the way I approached stress. It changed the way that I approach sleep. It changed the way I approach food. It changed the way I approach prayer. Because I stopped seeing my body as something to conquer and I started seeing it something to steward. And stewardship is an act of worship. When we care for our body that God entrusted to us, we're honoring the giver of the gift. Not because we're chasing perfection, but because we're responding with gratitude. And that's where this journey has become for me, gratitude. Gratitude for every breath, gratitude for every heartbeat, gratitude that even on the days I didn't know what my body needed, God designed it with remarkable intelligence. And that gives me hope. And I pray it gives you hope too, because no matter where you are tonight, whether you're full of energy or completely exhausted, whether you're just beginning your wellness journey or you're searching for answers for years, there's always hope. And hope changes everything. Like my mentor, Megan DiMartino, says, there's hope and possibilities just over the horizon. It's never too early or too late. So let's do a closing prayer with you. Close your eyes and pray with me, or just listen. This is for you. Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for every person who has joined us, whether they're here live or watching this replay, days, weeks, or even months from now. Lord, I thank you for reminding us tonight that our bodies are not accidents. They are masterpieces, wonderfully made, carefully designed, lovingly created by you. Father, forgive us for the times we've been impatient with ourselves. Forgive us for the harsh words we've spoken over our bodies. Forgive us for believing that the lie that our worth is determined by our productivity or our performance. Tonight, help us see ourselves through your eyes. Help us remember that you formed us with your purpose, that you know every cell, every heartbeat, every breath, every burden. Lord, I pray for every person carrying stress that no one else can see, the caregiver who's running on empty, the parent who feels overwhelmed, the entrepreneur who's been pushing without resting, the person quietly carrying grief, the one who's lost hope that they can ever feel like themselves again. Meet them tonight. Wrap them in your peace. Replace fear with faith. Replace striving with surrender. Replace exhaustion with your strength. Teach us to listen not only to your voice, but also to the wisdom you placed within the bodies you created. Give us discernment to make choices that honor you, and help us create rhythms of rest, rhythms of joy, rhythms of gratitude. And when life becomes overwhelming, remind us that we don't have to carry it alone, because you tell us to cast our cares upon you. So tonight, we release our stress, we release our worry, we release our fear, and we receive your peace. Thank you for being the God who restores, the God who renews, the God who walks beside us every step of this journey. We trust you with our lives. We trust you with our families. We trust you with our health. And above all, we trust you with our hearts. In the mighty and precious name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me. If tonight encouraged you or helped you see your body through a different lens, would you let me know by commenting the word light below? I'd love to hear what stood out to you the most. And if someone came to your mind while we were talking tonight, someone who's tired, discouraged, running on empty, or simply searching for hope, share this live with them. You never know what one conversation can spark in someone's life. Tomorrow, or next live, we're going to build on everything we've learned on the last lives. Today's day 6, so the last 6 lives, and we're going to talk about mitochondria, often called the powerhouses of our cells. But here's what we're really going to explore, right? Why do so many people feel like their batteries never fully recharge? We'll talk about cellular energy, what drains it, what supports it, and why understanding energy is about so much more than drinking another cup of coffee or an energy drink. So I'm really excited for that. But I think our next conversation is going to answer questions many people have been asking for years. So invite a friend, bring your notebook, bring your curiosity, and let's keep learning together. Until then, pray up, patch up, prosper, keep faithing forward, keep sharing your kingdom sparkle, and remember this: your body isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for partnership. And the greatest partnership you'll ever have is walking daily with the one who designed you. God bless you. I'll see you at the next live, day 7. Good night, everyone. Angela Moore here. I am out. Bye.